Hello, Love 52. How are you out there? We are starting week 24. And in a couple weeks, I'm going to do a little project where I'm going to go out and spread love to people and hopefully be able to record it to give some examples to you. I don't know how to edit very well. And so I don't know if I got to figure it out between now and then, right? Well, look, this week I was trying to decide what were we going to talk about. It was one of two things. It was either going to be managing emotions, because when we don't manage emotions very well, when we're ineffective at managing emotions, it kind of screws up our loving other people and loving ourselves. And then the other thing was, well, a few months ago I shared with you, we were talking about boundaries, and I threw out the concept shit list. Do you remember that? If not, you probably were trying to forget about it. Shit list, right? I mean, usually that's a negative thing. You don't want to be on your coaches, you don't want to be on your teachers, you don't want to be on your parents or your boss. Not that list, because that means you're probably going to be getting some consequences you don't want. But I've kind of turned that little phrase into a kind of a funnier, positive thing. Now look, if you hear tractors down over there, they're working on this park area. And so, we can deal with it, right? So look, I'm going to share with you today about the shit list. Because when we have healthy self-confidence, we love more effectively. We love better, love ourselves better, and we love others better. And then we'll tie it in next week with managing emotions. Because having this list helps us so our emotions are not as up and down as they often can be for a lot of us. So look, how many people are in the world? There's billions of people in the world, right? And for the longest time, I allowed everybody's opinion in the world to kind of impact me. I allowed everyone's opinions to play a role in my emotions, and maybe it's because, when I was young, I was hit by a car, I had scars on my legs, and I wore pants to school almost all through elementary school until 6th grade. From the time of the accident till about 6th grade, pants. And I lived in Tucson, Arizona. It's hot, right? But I didn't want people asking about my scars. I didn't want to seem different. And so I would hide them. And that carried on, caring about people's opinions for a very long time. But sometime in college, I realized that's kind of ridiculous. I only know a handful of people. I was in college, I knew a lot of people, but only a handful really were that important to me. Now, we've talked about it, and I hope you understand. I believe we are all important, every one of us. But there are people who are important in my life, whether they are physically present or not. Everyone is important. But in my personal life, back then, when I was identifying this stuff, there were about 10. Now look, I'm going to go get my wife's car washed in a minute. And whoever I encounter there, I think of them as important. If there's people at this park area where I'm at, and when I'm walking to my car, if we pass each other, I think of them as important individuals. There's people who are important in my life regardless if they're present or not in the moment. And so back when I was in college, the 1900s, I wrote a list and I put it in my wallet. I wrote it on a piece of paper with a pen. There was no technology, no smartphones back in the 1900s, or at least I didn't have one in the 1900s where you could write things. So I wrote these names. These were the people who were important in my life. This was my shit list. Look, I'm sorry if it offends you. I shouldn't say I'm sorry, but I do it anyways. If you're offended by it, that is not my intent. It's a positive thing. Nowadays I've got 30 people, and what it is people I identify who are significant in my life, period, right? If they're physically present or not. They are important individuals in my life. Now, we're going to talk in the next couple days Just because they're on my list doesn't mean they are important. Does it mean that their words are always important? Just because you're on my list, does it mean that I always care and give value to your words? No, the answer is no. I still decide that. I have that power. I have that control. I have that choice to give your words value or not. But we'll talk about that. This first day, today, I just want you to identify who's on your list. And if you don't want to say that S word, don't. But who's on your list? Identify the people who you identify. You think they are important in your life. Write it down. Obviously the sun's coming out there, right? You can just do this maybe. Think about the people who are important in your life. Maybe write them down. Maybe put them in your phone. You know, chances are they're already in your phone as contacts. And we'll talk tomorrow about the power, the empowerment that this can bring you. Now, in the meantime, I hope you have a good day, and spread love and love yourself, and write your list. Start this list so we can talk about it more tomorrow. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.